Hello and welcome to Preparing for the MOECC Low Impact Development Guidelines. I'm Jennifer Young and I'm an LID and Green Infrastructure expert with Stantec working out of the Waterloo office. This presentation will go over a high level of the draft MOECC guidelines, what it means for you, planning an LID, integration into existing municipal standards and operations, and ensuring successful operations. The draft MOECC guidelines. Currently, the March 2003 Stormwater Management Planning and Design Manual is used to guide the management of stormwater in the province. However, the MOECC is working on an LID manual and has indicated that they expect that LID and green infrastructure be used on all projects moving forward. The draft documentation looks at a volume target of 90% of the typical year and maintaining the pre-development water balance for sites. This means that for every 10 rainstorms that hits a site, 9 of them must be infiltrated, evapotranspirated, reused, and not allowed to leave the site. Additionally, maintaining the pre-development water balance for sites may require additional infiltration, especially in sandier soils. There is a step-down hierarchy for sites with constraints like poor soils, high groundwater, or bedrock. Source protection and sub-watershed studies will supersede the guideline. If you are in an area where the source protection plan does not allow infiltration, you will be required to meet the source protection rather than the guideline. In addition, if a sub-watershed study has a higher infiltration target than that within the guideline, you will be required to meet the higher target rather than the guideline. What does this mean for you and your municipality? Going forward, it is expected that LID and source control practices that better mimic the hydrologic cycle will be required on all sites and all projects. It is expected that the new guidelines will be released late 2017, and it's been indicated that they will go to the EBR in summer of 2017. Municipalities will need to decide how to implement these policies to allow for LID on all developments, including their own municipal projects. The guidelines will apply to roads. However, they will only apply to full reconstruction and not to resurfacing projects. Currently, the triggers within the document are quite small. 45 square meters or 485 square feet of new development, or 10 square meters or 108 square feet of decking, patio, or shed will trigger the requirement for LID for the whole site. Municipal and conservation staff will need to review and maintain LID features as they become more numerous. Planning and LID. Planning applications for development must consider the provincial policy statement. The growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe is currently under review, along with the Greenbelt Plan, Niagara Escarpment Plan, and Oak Ridge's Moraine Conservation Plan. All of these plans must be considered as part of a Planning Act application or land use development. The policies are currently being updated and include additional stormwater management considerations. One such policy is in the draft changes to the growth plan, and that requires planning and consideration of stormwater management planning on a watershed level. Municipalities will be required to update their official plans and other policies to conform with any of the updated provincial policies. And if they include additional stormwater management, they will start having to undertake those policies, such as doing sub-watershed studies. A municipality can also update its official plan to include policies for climate change, sustainability, stormwater planning, and LID measures. Some municipalities have already started this process. Development and site plan manuals can also be updated to include requirements and guidelines to include LID measures in subdivision and site plan design. The Planning Act does provide municipality with tools for reviewing and improving development applications. Deeming applications complete, a municipality could include a requirement for LID or other practices as part of a complete development application. Typically, these requirements would be requested of an applicant during the pre-consultation phase of a project. LID measures could also be included in bonusing policies, where a municipality could allow for increased height or density, where appropriate, if LID was incorporated into the site. In addition, parkland dedication cash in lieu requirements could be reduced for projects that meet certain sustainability or other planning criteria. The municipality, however, would have to have this criteria already within their official plan policies. Integrating into existing municipal standards and operations. First, your municipality is going to have to decide which practices they're willing to accept. To do this, you're going to have to identify the drivers for your watershed. Drivers may include water quality, nutrient removal, groundwater recharge, or volume capture for stream health. Each of these drivers impact how LID facilities are designed and are operated. Also consider policies that allow for downsizing infrastructure due to upstream LID. Downsizing could include removing water quality from end-of-pipe ponds or downsizing detention volumes or pipe sizes. During initial investigations, just by removing the water quality volume from the ponds and allowing LID and green infrastructure to perform all water quality functions can reduce pond blocks by up to a third. Bylaws and application process review. Municipality is going to have to review all their bylaws and guidance documents to ensure that there's no clauses that would prohibit or hinder LID or green infrastructure projects. For example, some municipalities have bylaws requiring all roof leaders to be connected to the storm sewer. This would prevent LID features at the surface from being used for roof water. LID projects require multidisciplinary design teams, and the review and approval process should reflect this. This may require improved communication and coordination between departments. For example, a standard LID project may include environmental planners, landscape architects, water resource engineers, geotechnical and hydrogeological engineers, parks, and operations. Standards and standard drawings. Most municipalities do not have existing design standards or drawings for LID or green infrastructure facilities. Municipalities are going to have to review existing LID design guidance and decide what they are willing to accept. Now, part of deciding what they're willing to accept is also deciding how this will be applied to the different types of land uses in the municipality. Will they have different requirements for single-family residential versus commercial or institutional? Will surface ponding be allowed? What's the drain time that's going to be required for each facility? All of these need to be considered when you're deciding which facilities you're willing to accept. Once you decide what you're willing to accept, standard and standard drawings may need to be updated to include the LID facilities. The picture on the top of this page shows a modified road cross-section from Victoria, BC, in which the street is cross-sloped to one side with a linear bioretention facility and only one sidewalk. This allowed us to treat all road runoff for water quality and volume before discharging to the storm sewer. Another change is moving all the utilities like cable, gas, or hydro under the sidewalk to allow us to free up the boulevard area. You must consult with other departments, especially the operation and maintenance departments, to ensure that new standards fit into existing municipal programs and activities. Your existing programs may dictate how you want to design LIDs within your municipality. If you have a good program for cleaning out catch basins, then perhaps catch basins should be the way that you use to pre-treat for bioretention, because you already have a program in which the operations department can clean out those catch basins. Also consult and coordinate with local utilities. Having a conflict with a utility within the boulevard may make certain LID features impossible to install. So LID and green infrastructure on private property. This is a question that a lot of municipalities are struggling with right now. Private owners are usually responsible for the operation and maintenance of LID on their properties, but there can be an issue of removal of those facilities. So there are ways that you can ensure that there's no removals. There may be bylaws or restrictive covenants that are implemented to ensure that the facilities are remain and are maintained. And there's several ways to make sure that the maintenance is occurring. You may have a maintenance bylaw that requires submission of maintenance logs. Single-family residential may be exempt from this and have a different type of requirement, such as submitting dated photos or having spot checks by the municipality. You could also include easements anywhere the LIDs are in order to ensure that you retain control over them. If you are not going to allow LID on private property, then the right-of-way and public land will have to be used for regional facilities. So ensuring successful operation. There needs to be an enforcement mechanism for private LID facilities. And you need to ensure that municipal LIDs are maintained and operated correctly. The way to ensure enforcement may be through maintenance records or spot checks. Many LID are not as hard to maintain as everyone thinks. Often the landscape is replacing like for like, and where you would have a vegetated area, now you just have a vegetated depressed area. Creating a maintenance guide for LID is very important to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Make sure that you consult your operations departments and your works departments and parks departments when you're creating this maintenance guide to ensure that they know what the facilities are, what kind of maintenance needs to go on, and who is responsible for what maintenance. Mapping or other databases of LID in a municipality is also very important. Mapping LID will ensure that everyone knows where the facilities are and that they will get maintained and treated right. This will prevent failures such as sanding of permeable paving or mowing of rain gardens that don't require it. So I certainly welcome any questions that you may have. My contact information is on this slide, and I'd like to thank you for your time and attention during this webinar.